Africa is now and the future. Africa is a wonderful place to build infrastructure that captures incredible value and multiplies and exports to the world.
Thank you for having me. My name is Kashifu Inuwa Abdullahi, the Director General and CEO of the National Information Technology Development Agency. I'm a technology architect with a strong background in network infrastructure and compute. And also, I double as the Chief Technology Information Officer of Nigeria. NITDA has a vision of making Nigeria a digitally empowered nation, fostering inclusive economic growth through technological innovation. So we do a lot in terms of creating the enabling environment, in terms of building infrastructure to connect the unconnected, as well as empowering our citizens with knowledge they need to use digital technology safely and responsibly.
So if you don't have infrastructure that has low latency, if something happens, unfortunately, like you mentioned, it would be difficult to find out, track, and to be able to get to the perpetrators in real time. And so again, it's that infrastructure as a first thought and not as a kind of an add-on, because there is technology that obviously exists for, where you dwell. We use that kind of technology in stadiums and in large public venues.
My name is Obiajulu Okafor. I am currently a software engineer at Microsoft in their R&D department. And I am in Azure Data. It's a cloud platform. And in that, I build tools to utilize data from the cloud. So if you heard of Power BI, data warehouses, that is what, perfect.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. So that is what I do. My first question would be, what do you think the state of, because everyone talks about AI, everyone talks about, technology, but we don't really think about it. A lot of people don't actually think about how AI really works and how the cloud really works.
Okay, thank you very much. For me, I look at when you talk about AI, I look at it from three perspectives: the data, the compute, and the algorithm. And they all need infrastructure to function. You will never have a good AI system without clean data. How can you get data? You need to connect. You need to get every person to be connected, and you need to get every person to be digitally visible in that AI we are going to build. Because we are building a system that will decide who gets what, under what condition in a society. That system can only consider you while making decisions if it knows you, if you are visible. If you are not, the system might not consider you. And also, Nigeria as a nation, we have more than 500 languages. How can we capture them? We have our culture, we have our values. How can we represent them in this AI we're building? We don't want to see our children learning everything from AI built without African representation. So therefore, we need to be intentional in capturing, processing, and storing our data. But there are other things that making them difficult to happen in Nigeria. With the information from a cell tower, you can know, for example, who are in these rooms. All our mobile phones sync. They know who are here. They will know how many times we spend. You can use that to track movement of every person and so on. So the technology is there, but also there is a gap in terms of how we analyze the data and make sense out of it.
Africa needs to be beyond potential. I think people say potentials for the reasons that Africa has not really enjoyed in a lot of the resources that comes out of the continent, right? So people will always look at it as a potential, as business interests, etc. I actually also come from that side of the aisle, which is the private sector, where there's always a race for Africa, whether it's agriculture, whether it's oil and gas, whether it's more recently critical minerals. So Africa, it's more than a potential. And I think we Africans need to make it more than potential.
It's a powerful place, and it's beyond potential. It is the place that has been doing work for so long, but overlooked for the power that it exudes. And I think now is just a really great time for the women who are doing the work across the diaspora to bring that collective power together to exponentialize the power of Africa.
Africa is the next frontier because Africa has the youngest population in the world. And by 2030, Africa will have 70% of the youth population in the world, and we live in a digital era. This population are digitally native population, so they will create the market for digital economy, and they will also power the digital economy with talent.
Because when you think about it now, a lot of things that previous generation had negotiated was not in our favor. So it's important that the newer generation, especially with things like the critical mineral sector that's about to kind of transform, that we don't miss out on those opportunities.
It is about Africa being given the opportunity to truly show its potential.
70-80% of the component that goes into iPhone originates from Congo, DRC. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm sure Apple sells zillion of those Apple phones every year and devices. So again, it has to be beneath the surface. That's the tagline I would give any story that I want to make, hopefully one day, about Africa.
Heritage, because our centuries of history literally are the blueprint for all of humanity.
Heritage because it's foundational.
Women are the womb of everything. And so heritage is a game changer and kind of putting the focus back on the woman's role in technology and economic growth and development.
I think the future is what we create. If we create heritage, it's heritage. If we create whatever we want, that's what the future is.
The fact that we are in charge, at least, obviously there are other influences, but again, that's a special interest. But at least we are in charge of our own destiny. And I think that's going to continue to transform going forward as a newer generation that it's more westernized and see other opportunities for the continent start to assume power. And the older generation who has been more traditional and still influenced by the colonial masters begin to kind of leave the system. I think, oh man, Africa is going to explode.
So I'm here to support the Heritage House because I believe everyone here has a $124 trillion opportunity. So essentially, we are at the dawn of the great wealth transfer. And what that means is the world's wealth is being passed down to the next generation. And of that $124 trillion, 70% of that will go to women. So we believe at Audacity Assets that the world economy is going to shift, where more women-led spending, women-led investing, and women-led giving is actually going to rule the world's economy.
So I represent an organization called Most Influential People of African Descent, MyPack, and we are a civil society initiative in partnership with the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent. And when you think about whether it's gender equality or women's voices, it's a core of what we do over at MyPad.
So I guess I would say that I earned my chops doing network infrastructure at T-Mobile. I was responsible for about half the country, 30 states, building out the T-Mobile network, helping with the design, also managed the purchase of Sprint and building out of the rural network in Colorado and places like that. And also I have a huge affinity for sports. And so I led the team that did all of the network upgrades in the NFL and the NBA, and then kind of sat in between engineering and sponsorship for T-Mobile sponsored events like Major League Baseball and SailGP and such. And so I have a small company called Grit Tech Sports, which helps to adopt the technology that companies use, like private networks, and get the most out of it to create that robust experience inside stadiums and in the collegiate space as well as in the pro space. And then I also serve as a chief strategist for Talent for the Culture, and we do a lot of work in the tech sports space on the continent.
I believe in the power of women, because women, if you give them the chance, they make difference. So African women have been marginalized in so many things. So giving them the right environment and bringing them to the table, that what will shape the African future. So that's the reason I always support the heritage activities.